tranquil atmosphere in the northwest province was transformed as the best South African racing crews made their way to the Baberspan 500 off-road race on March 19th. As it was only the second event of this year's off-road racing calendar, teams still had teething problems with new vehicles and crews. The large field of entries confirmed the importance of this race. It's been around for 21 years and is known to be grueling and very, very tough. Amongst the other top contenders were the Toyota dealer teams with brand new vehicles and plenty of confidence.
I'm looking very forward to this race because this is my special one. It suits our vehicle very nice, and we've won it 3 years in a row, except for last year. We ended second overall year.
Well, we got a new van, a new double cab, and we tried it before, and we're still in a growing process, and we plan to finish the event.
But we're anxious to finish, you know. So a new sponsor, and if we can get a finish in the top 3 or 4, then we'll be happy.
Spoken on your side, what do you see as the challenge?
Well, that's quite a difference to change from quads to cars, but I anticipate it being a lot easier as far as brake times and whatever you're concerned. So we're going to go out there, we'll give it a bash, we'll take a time trial and really take it from there and see how the car's handling, and maybe we'll be there tomorrow.
You know, we in South Africa are very lucky. We can go to any part of South Africa with our South African Championship, and it will be some part of the Paris-Dakar.
The first time the competitors could get down to serious racing was with the time trials, and joining us on this program is former South African multiple off-road champion Kenny Schulthammer.
Thanks, Glenn. The purpose of the time trial is to establish your start positions for Saturday's race and to find out what the conditions will really be like for Saturday's racing, and to establish where your competition lies. For every event is different, so it'll be nice to know where your competition is going to be after the time trial.
So most of the competitors don't just use it to get great times and say, hey, I want to be really up front at the starters. They want to have a good look around in the time trial.
Oh, most definitely. They have races within races. So, you know, every category must compete against each other, and they establish where the guys are, and Saturday's race start time comes, and the guys basically pace themselves off one another.
The time trials posed a few problems as Newton Love and Colin Potter went off the track before finding the route markers. With Paolo Piazzamuzzo and Stratford Fucht hot on their heels, other competitors also wasted valuable time on this section of the route. Johan Gerber and Quitsia Labaskachny in their Raconic Chev made no mistakes and were chasing hard after the pack ahead. In the bike section, the large field of 101 entrants prepared for the time trials. Not the toughest of terrain, Kenny, but I guess you have to keep your wits about you.
Most definitely, Glenn. You'll see these guys start much closer together than the motor vehicles, which means that they're riding in dust consistently. And there are a lot of bad rocks out there, so you have to have your wits about you.
Quentin Milton on his Kawasaki demonstrates that the bikes had no problems with the road conditions as he speeds across the millie fields. Behind him, Rian van Niekerk on his KTM had to contend with the terrible dust factor. In the quad section, Christophe van der Merwe on his Banshee was fortunate to start the time trials first, which gave him a distinct advantage against the dust.
First time Christo will be up against Vickers on the Gulwaz Yamaha this year, so it'll be very interesting to see the outcome.
In the open category, the blue Gulwaz Blonde quad driven by Vickers van Deventer is an awesome sight as it speeds through the dust, and was definitely one of the quads to look out for over the 500-kilometer stretch of the main race. The last section of the 50-kilometer time trials became a little hectic with the faster vehicles having to contend with slower traffic. Kenny, any unwritten rules there?
Glenn, this is where you just put it. You've got to set a quick time for your start tomorrow morning, otherwise you're going to be in the dust.
Gary Heiner and his mighty mag seemed unperturbed as he approached the finish, with one wheel missing. And the Vodacom Pajero team of the internationally experienced Neil Woolridge and co-driver Paul Vermaak were pleased with their performance at the time trials. The officials clocked in the finishing times of all entrants, and this vital information would determine all the starting positions and times for the main race. Back in the pits, maintenance crews worked flat out in the limited time to ensure that vehicles were ready for the big day before being impounded for the night.
Yeah, rough out there, and it's quite a lot of dongas, but in short road basis, obviously quite a hairy motorcar to keep on the track. But I anticipate a good day tomorrow. I don't expect any problems.
It was a very fast time trial today. The car ran like a dream. Production vehicles, as you know, it is very competitive. But we only have a chance for tomorrow. Well, we hope so, as long as the car stays together.
There's a pace you've got to go at, and you've got to go at the pace of the car, that you don't break the car and yet you're fast enough to stay with the guys. This is a particularly old car. It's been running for 5 years in South Africa and was running a good couple of years in the States. So it's really not a high-tech car, but it's a very well-balanced car.
It really is a finishing sport. Most guys, that's their ultimate goal, is to get to the end. It's not really where you come. That's almost luck sometimes in this game. You come across some dongas and so on, and you can just really put your foot down and go straight over them, and the suspension does all the work for you. It is about how fast you can go, because it's a race. You know, while you're going along a fence or something, that's when you really notice the speeds you're doing, because you see these fence poles flying past you. And it's also quite a strange sensation going through the millie fields for a long period of time. It almost gives you like a tunnel vision. You're continually seeing these millies, and you're trying to concentrate on the road ahead of you, and it's hell of a good fun at the end of the day.
With rain clouds looming, the biggest question of the Baberspan 500 was, what's the weather going to do?
Baberspan is known. Today it's 35 degrees, and tonight the clouds open up, and tomorrow we've got a mud bath.
Yeah, it's something else when you're coming along and you see the fence half underwater, so you know how deep it is, and it can change, but you know, we don't know what the weather's going to do. They say no rain.
Back at the campsite, with Bryce looking very promising, various teams were debating what would happen the next day.
Well, this is the first national that I'm going to be racing, so it was a bit of a team effort between amongst us here, and we decided, well, let's go for it.
We all ride together, we all from the same company, and we meet our guys, we all, you know, the nationals, the regionals, the club events, we're always together. And we see who can beat who.
My major rival this whole season of racing, which I think I can talk for Valley as well, is Cornell. And that's our rival. We're going to beat Cornell, and that's what we want to do. We know he's the fastest, and he rides better, quite a lot better than both of us. So we'll see what happens at the end of the season.
So did the two of you maybe have a message for him?
hopefully he gets stuck tomorrow, or
Hopefully none of that bad luck that's been wished upon me will come true.
With the last rays of the sun bringing a close to a frantic day, all competitors prepared for a good meal and an early night before the big day.